Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is the final day of the week of films, and this one in particular, as you can tell by my expressions. So yeah, Cobra, which was directed by George C. Cosmatos, I think to say his name right. George P. Apologies, George P. Cosmatos. Whose other work includes Rambo: First Blood Part 2, which, from my memory, was not particularly good. And then he went on to do Tombstone, which is his most notable piece of work. Written by Sylvester Stallone, and also starring Sylvester Stallone, as he is a basically an outlaw that is hired on by the police force, and he operates under a certain kind of jurisdiction, which the film for some just doesn't explain at all what kind of level of jurisdiction he has and what he can or cannot do as an outlaw. A couple of people, swinging around axes who are causing havoc, and he is the only person that stands in the way of all this chaos that is about to ensue with these axe-swinging maniacs. So it is without any surprise that when just seeing the poster for Cobra, you just know exactly what you're getting into, which is like, I knew going into it that it was going to be one of those throwaway type of films, but what I actually got was something much more horrendous. Cobra is a pretty basic film in terms of what it's about. I mean, it's pretty much just about vigilantism, people just trying to being outlaws, trying to be above the law, start a new order, anarchy, this stuff that you've seen time and time again in superhero films, because essentially Cobra is just a superhero film. It's a star vehicle, it's a vehicle for Sylvester Stallone to, wear some cool shades and have the little thing in his mouth and be wielding a bunch of guns. Like, that's just basically what it is. It's a very much driven by one's ego, because I have to imagine that this was a Stallone idea. There are two things about the film that stood out to me, and two of these things I was generally amazed by, because there's many issues with the film. For starters, the editing is all over the place. It's completely nonsensical. There's no rhyme or reason as to why things are edited in certain ways. Some scenes are edited like 10 times over, while other scenes are edited at certain pace. Like, I'll put it this way: how in some people they study, when you study a pace of a film, they'll teach you in film class the clapping method, which is every clap for each cut that happens. So in the case of Cobra, there are scenes where they'll go, and then there's scenes where it'll just go, it'll just, the manner of the editing is just completely just ludicrous and just has no rhyme or reason whatsoever. And the same sentiment can be given to its action sequences, which are just all over the place and have completely no reason, unwarranted, behaviors. They're just so exaggerative. It's like if Fast and Furious existed in the 80s. Like, they're just that ridiculous. Cars just flying all over the place, explosions happening for no reason whatsoever except just to have an explosion happen because it looks pretty on the frame. So Stallone doing things with a car that just seems completely out of character, even though there is no character to speak of at the beginning. And then you have, just crash, bang, boom, and all that. It's a bunch of just noises, and they just amount to pretty much nothing whatsoever. And the same thing can be said about the villains, because the villains have just basically three modes of service, which is clang, because they have these big axes, and there's scenes where they literally are just doing this in the frame, and shooting and killing people. That's basically it. Clang, shoot, kill, clang, shoot, kill, okay? And then you have Stallone and company, who are just completely lifeless, completely awkward, like no chemistries whatsoever. And the two things that stuck out to me the most was, for one thing, one of the worst screenplays that I think I've ever come across. I think that in terms of just actual writing. I mean, it's not just the fact that it's just an abysmal, like, like it's just a basic premise. Basically just a superhero. It's like Stallone's attempt at Batman almost before Tim Burton's Batman existed. It's almost like Stallone got whispers of that film happening, and he was like, I would like to try that before that film comes out. So let's just try to get this done in like 2 weeks' time or something like that. It feels like it just got done on a weekend or something like that. But just so you guys can get a taste of the writing here, here are some examples from the film of the writing. Some lines that I picked up. So one line, I'll kill her. I'll kill them right now. And Stallone says, go ahead. I don't shop here. Another line from the film, hey, you have a temper, right? Yeah, just a little one. And for another, we're a pair of really nice guys who are here to ask you a lot of bad questions. Now enough, hey, how do you know? You gotta have faith. I'm not joking, that's literally how it's said in the film. And my favorite one, because it basically describes the whole film, which is this, and this is literally a line from the film. This thing is so far out of control, I don't even know where to start. That's essentially what Cobra is in a nutshell. It's a film that is loaded with inconsistencies. It's astonishing the level of inconsistencies this film has. For another notable thing about the film, the acting in it, particularly from two people, one of which I had to look up because his acting was particularly terrible. Brian Thompson, who plays the Night Slasher, as they call him in the film, which again just sounds like something from a comic strip. He shows up for it briefly in the film, and he is just terrible. Enough said on that. And then the commissioner, or whoever it is, their version of Commissioner Gordon or whatever like that. Again, just terrible performance. Just his performance is always eyes. He's always looking at the characters like this, and it just is so just weird and awkward and completely, again, just like what's going on. And then one of the other notable things about the film, because the film has I can go on for maybe like 20 minutes, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to bore you guys too much. But the tone is all over the place. There are times where it wants to be just goofy and just lighthearted, and then there's times where it wants to be unreasonably dark. Like the scenes of the killing are just strangely brutal, and it's unwarranted and unbelievable in the sense of how it's being utilized. The presentation of the film itself is also just insufferable, really. Like, the set pieces look like set pieces. The chase sequences look like chase sequences. Everything looks like a production. It doesn't look like something that is of cinematic language. It just looks like a set piece. And the only mark that I can give it, is that the idea of Cobra, the idea of just this vigilante sort of thing, it's a thing that you've seen many, many times, but it's not something inherently bad in terms of its concept, in terms of what it is. What is bad about it, borderline terrible about it, is its execution. It is one of the worst screenplays that I've ever come across, and quite frankly, possibly one of the worst supporting performances that I've ever seen in Brian Thompson. He just a terrible performance. And and again, it's funny because I looked at what George's other work was, and when I found Rambo 2 actually came out in 1985. This came out in 1986. So I'm just wondering if this was supposed to be something of Rambo, because the whole film feels like something of a Rambo type. It's just that the background elements are different. It's as if someone just said, hey, let's not be in the jungle, let's just be in the city, and let's not have him be a veteran or whatever like that, just have him be a cop. It's like they just changed certain things to then, but apparently this has been based on a novel or whatever like that, and whatever. But And it's trying to be also artistically sound with its editing, and it's just hysterical to even see it even try. One of the most like blandly constructed openings I've probably ever seen. It's just like it's like trying to build up again this like this artistic type of merit where it's like, oh, look how creative we're being with the edits, and look at the clangs of the axes, and who's this mysterious figure coming through the sunlight. It's just, and then of course you get the plethora of 80s songs that are, you know, just implemented in the film, because if you don't know, people, this is an 80s film. If you don't realize that by the 5th or 6th song that's played, then I don't know what will. But to say that it's unsufferable, bears terrible acting, some of the worst dialogue that I've ever heard, completely unsuitable performances, and laugh out loud action. Like, the action sequences are giving Fast and Furious a run for its money. Like, to say all that would be absolute truth. I mean, there's nothing more truthful than that, because to say that it's dull would be an understatement. To say that it's disposable would be unfair. It is just a load of just like that's just what it is. Like, it's the like I had fun with it in a very sadistic manner. Like, I was laughing so hard, like, through the action sequences, because they're just so ridiculous. No reason or manner or just purpose to anything going on, anything, and just Stallone, please don't write. I mean, I know that he did Rocky, and Rocky was basically a one-hit wonder for him as a writer, but wow. Yeah. Like I said, just to reiterate that line, this thing is so far out of control, I don't even know where to start. That pretty much summarized my feelings on Cobra, because really, wow. Just wow. So, I think I got it out. Because it was just building. It just kept building throughout my entire experience watching it. So I think I got it all out now. So that's my thoughts on Cobra. Yeah. So you guys know your thoughts on Cobra if you guys saw it. I heard some people find this as a guilty pleasure. I can't see why. I mean, I guess if you have such a low taste in film, or you've only seen a few films in your lifetime, I guess I could see why you might think that. But if you have seen a good, you know, just a good selection of films, I don't see why this would be one of those, but why this would be considered a guilty pleasure. But it's all subjective at the end of the day. But in my opinion, it was just poo. It was just like it's horrible, but horrible in a kind of surprising sense, because I expected it to be bad, but not as bad as it turned out. So, but those are my thoughts on Cobra. So you guys know your thoughts on Cobra if you guys chose to see it. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in this week and watching all these videos. You guys know your thoughts on all of these videos, this whole idea, this whole week thing. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it or not, because I'm planning to do it again next month. And that's going to be it for me, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video.